every human being responds to certain behaviors in a different way, but your response to certain behaviors is going to depend on your background, your upbringing, your life history. That's the kind of thing that we think about from the Dean of Students Office perspective when we receive a report regarding disruptive behavior in particular.
Our students are very different life experiences, different energy levels, but the reality is for some instructors, they interact with students who make their classroom a challenging environment, both for them as an instructor, but also for the other folks trying to learn. And so my role is to not only coach the faculty when they find themselves in those situations, but I also go into classrooms and help their TAs and them in advance of having issues. I try and be the steady head who also lets them know, unfortunately, we all experience this every once in a while. I'm here to help support you, and I'll give you some ideas. And I'm also here, should we not be able to solve this problem proactively, I'll also help with the reaction in terms of applying the student code of conduct so that the student understands the impact they've had and how we can make them be a better citizen and a better member of our community if we in fact allow them to stay with our community.
For some faculty members, a student sitting in the classroom reading the student newspaper versus paying attention in class, for that professor, it could be disruptive. There could also be students who are overly participating in a class discussion and not allowing other students to engage in a conversation. It could be the tone in which students are engaging in class, that it's disrupting the tenor of the class, what the faculty member is trying to get across. Eating in class, or maybe the attire. Students have worn t-shirts with troubling messaging on the t-shirt, or they've dressed in a manner where they're wearing a hat, covering up their eyes, maybe inappropriate or perceived as threatening, but it depends on the class. We've had situations where in creative writing, folks are supposed to be creative when they're writing their assignments. However, sometimes students' creativity causes concern for a faculty member. And when we did more investigation into the situation, the student was not violent, wasn't disruptive or threatening. And so we have to speak with faculty and kind of try to set a bar about, okay, well, in this particular situation, I know that you are feeling that this person is targeting you, but there's not really any evidence to support that. Threatening student behavior is pretty straightforward. It's when the faculty member or students are feeling like they are receiving a direct threat. So let's say there's a conversation going on, but the person stands up and says, "I'm gonna kill you because you don't believe in what I believe." That's a threat. That's a direct threat. And how you should always respond to that. And we tell our faculty this very message: call 911. When in doubt, call 911, because you can leave it to the police to determine what to do. Because if you're feeling personally threatened, you need to call the police. Someone may see that someone is carrying a gun. I don't think we've had that situation in my time, but we are a conceal and carry state. But we are a weapons-free zone on campus, so seeing someone with a weapon on our campus is cause for us to call the police, and that is threatening behavior.
Strangely enough, from a Dean of Students perspective, I oftentimes find threatening behavior to be some of the simplest cases that I have. Because if you threaten my community, I know what to do. So if a student is a true threat to our campus, we do not take it lightly and we remove them instantly. What I do see happen more regularly is people reporting what they perceive as a threat, and at digging at it, we realize that there's more to the story. The expectation that we expel a student right at the front end, we do have to give them a process. If there isn't a very, very imminent threat happening, we make sure we understand what's happening. We make sure we understand that there is absolutely no room for education before we separate a student from campus. But if the threat is real, the student will be gone.
Oftentimes, faculty members who have a high tolerance for disruptive behavior figure out that there's a problem when other students write to them or approach them and say, "I don't feel like I'm getting what I need from this course because that person is engaging in this particular behavior." This is a classroom management issue, and really the student needs to hear from you because you are the authority in the classroom. You set the tone for your class, and we coach the faculty on how to have that conversation with the student. Sometimes, depending on the level of disruption, we will ask the student to come in and meet with us so that we can be the neutral person, and we are unbiased. We don't have preconceived notions about the students who are walking into our offices because we know that there are 5 sides to every story. It's not just one side, and we tend to look at these situations holistically versus just focusing in on that one particular behavior.
Health and safety is everything that we do every day. And how that plays out is going to be different with every case. But if we need to care for you, if we need to take care of our students, that will always be the first thing that we're doing because it is important. No one can be successful without somebody holding their hand through the difficult times. We're here for the crisis, we're here for the stress. And sometimes that stress involves holding you accountable. But the reality is our students, even when being held accountable, will be treated with respect and they will be listened to and they will understand what's happening in the process. So for me, it's important that folks know reporting to us is never a bad idea. We're very reasonable people. And even though I have a nickname of being like the Dean of Mean, the reality is I got nothing but love for our students. So I'm a Wildcat through and through, and the Dean of Students office is here to support them.